Hey friends, and meet this guy. This is Apatosaurus louisae, a plant-eating dinosaur that, when angry, could whip its tail fast enough to break the sound barrier. What's that? Not interested? Not cool enough? Well, how about this? This is a planocronite, a species of crocodile-like reptile whose claws evolved into horse-like hooves for super-fast running. And now, check this out. This is Charybdis, a creature once infamous for creating whirlpools in the ocean to swallow Greek ships whole. And in today's video, friends, we're diving into some mind-blowing traits of extinct animals that are totally out of this world. Like, take a look at this organism, for example. It's called Hallucigenia, a worm about the size of your thumb. Scientists spent 50 years of their lives just trying to figure out which end was its head and which was its tail. Then, for the next 15 years, they studied this specimen upside down. Can you grasp how wild that is? A professional paleontologist, whose job is to identify fossils, got it that wrong. As a result, in later studies, researchers had to rely on electron microscopes, through which they discovered these creepy, spiky structures on one end of the fossil. Any guesses which end that was? Well, it's kinda obvious. Anyway, there's a reason this creature needed to create such a bizarre illusion. The fossil's dating shows it's about 508 million years old, from a time when the first hard-shelled marine arthropods started moving onto land. This forced many land-dwelling creatures to come up with new tricks to survive. Now imagine a creature with a throat full of teeth but no ability to chew, and legs that can't run. What's it gonna do? Exactly, it'll use illusions to survive. But was that enough? Well, around the same time, there was an arthropod with a sensory system so advanced it could coordinate 110 pairs of legs at once. Think of it like an expert pianist playing two pianos at the same time. This fascinating creature was called Wiwaxia chariswolta. Don't let its looks fool you into thinking it was harmless. These guys were the biggest marine arthropods of their time, about 24.5 centimeters long, and expert swimmers, too. In fact, back then, the oceans were ruled by these multi-legged arthropods thanks to their paddle-like legs. Wait, what was that? Some unknown arthropod? Well, questions like these puzzled researchers for nearly 90 years about a particular creature called Anomalocaris. When British paleontologist Joseph White-Ives first saw its fossil in 1892, he thought it was some kind of shrimp. But by 1911, when its mouth was studied, another researcher, Charles Walcott, claimed, "No, this is a jellyfish named Peitoia nathorstii." People were starting to buy into this idea until 1978 rolled around, when another claim came up. This time, it was from the same British paleontologist, Conway Morris, who'd studied Hallucigenia upside down for 15 years. He was like, "Hold up, I'll tell you the real deal." According to him, researchers weren't understanding the fossil correctly. He said, "Look, this specimen isn't one creature. It's two fossils stacked on top of each other, superimposed. See this body? It's a sponge, and this head on top. That's a jellyfish, Peitoia nathorstii." But then, Harry Whittington and his co-student Derek Briggs, in 1985, identified it as an abnormal shrimp, hence the name Anomalocaris. With its inward-facing sharp teeth, squid-like dangerous tentacles, 6-foot-long body, and tough shrimp-like armor, it could chew up even the toughest prey alive. I mean, literally, the only arthropod that could rival it was an 8-foot giant aquatic scorpion, Eurypterid, with claws alone that were about 1.5 feet long. Want to know how strong this creature was? Well, just know this. Modern-day Japanese coconut crabs, despite being only 1.3 feet long, can exert about 3,000 newtons of force with their claws, enough to crack a hard coconut in one snap. Now, even with a conservative estimate, that 8-foot scorpion would have had enough power to snap your arm clean off your body in one go. But here's the thing. This was about 467 to 458 million years ago. What happened to all these famous apex predators after that? I think we all know. Yup. 2 massive mass extinctions, one after the other, the Endordovian and the Devonian, due to overall climate change and dropping dissolved oxygen levels. Most marine life was wiped out. The result? A new era of creatures emerged, looking something like this. Any guesses which modern animals might be their descendants? Yup, reptiles. These are actually synapsids, our human ancestors. I know it's hard to believe looking at them, but to clear things up, take a look at this phylogenetic tree, built based on DNA matches. Here, you can clearly see that synapsids and reptiles split from each other a long time ago, although mammals, as a group, evolved from one of those early non-mammalian synapsids. In simple terms, while reptiles might have been second or third cousins to synapsids 305 million years ago, we mammals are their direct bloodline, their true descendants. In fact, because reptiles split from synapsids so early, they got a head start. Meanwhile, we mammals were still taking baby steps. As a result, reptiles evolved dramatically, some developing abilities so extreme they could break the sound barrier with their speed. Can you hear that? That's the sound of Apatosaurus louise's tail, which 150 million years ago it could whip at speeds of about 360 meters per second, faster than the speed of sound. Imagine what that means. If that 14-meter-long massive tail hit any animal, its spine would snap in two. But here's the catch. Some scientists believe Apatosaurus probably only used its supersonic tail to defend itself, because unlike smaller tails, if such a massive structure reached supersonic speeds, the stress would likely break the tail's bones in just 2 to 3 strikes. And in fact, this might be exactly why other massive plant-eating dinosaurs later on thought, look, copying Apatosaurus makes no sense. Its weapon is powerful, but not practical. We need a modern weapon instead, or at least a hammer. The result? Meet these guys, the living, breathing army tanks of the late Cretaceous period, Ankylosaurus. 68 million years ago, they patrolled the entire Pacific Northwest region, simply because, for defense, they had stone-tough body armor, and for offense they had a full-on hammer. You wouldn't mess with them, but back then, their reputation was so fearsome that some predators